If I'm honest, I wasn't that excited to see Pearl. It's not that I disliked X, but it just wasn't my favorite. And it certainly wasn't so incredible that it needed to become a horror trilogy. It wasn't even good enough for me to remember it that well. But that only ended up with me being in the perfect mindset to somewhat recall the events of X and link these movies together through actual events that happened or just tenuous links that I made up. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and I thought that Pearl was an uncomfortable watch that is essential for fans of horror. Looking back on it, X was a pretty standard horror movie following the well-known and spoofed tropes that the genre is famous for, involving a group of kids going to a new setting and being killed off one by one. And massive spoilers for X, but that was interesting because I assumed Jenna Ortega would be the sole survivor, but it was Mia Goth. And returning to play a completely different character who I assumed was the same, Mia Goth puts in an amazing performance in Pearl. Of course, halfway through the movie, I realized who she was playing, or who she might have been playing, because it was never confirmed that the old lady from X and Pearl from Pearl are the same person. In fact, I'm pretty sure the filmmakers and Mia Goth herself have gone out of their way to make it as vague as possible, but in my mind, Pearl was the origin story. And what an origin story it was. Within the first few minutes, it's revealed how depraved Pearl's cruelty can be, and yet she consistently proved me wrong with what I thought she would be capable of. Everyone in this film is good, including David Cornsweet, though I couldn't help but think about Superman whenever I saw him, because god damn I'm excited to see it. But Mia Goth was so incredibly good in this, she overshadowed anyone else. I mean, she's the main character and the whole movie hinges on her, but she really made this movie work. To the point where I could not imagine anyone else in this role and cannot wait to see her again in Maxine. So if you're a fan of unsettling horror movies, check out Pearl. And while you're at it, if you haven't seen X, check that out as well. And though I've already spoiled a lot of X, let's get into the spoilers involved with some of the insane sequences that happened in Pearl. Of course, I've already discussed how insane the main character is, but the real spoiler that I couldn't bring up was how I was terrified for anyone interacting with her. I could tell that at any moment she was about to snap and murder everyone. And every time she did end up losing it, the minute or two beforehand was so tense. And the montage, surreal sequence, whatever it was, where she disposes of all the bodies was so phenomenal. Just the way the blood dripped across the mirrored split screen was so good. There's some weird stuff towards the beginning, and that's really where the uncomfortable atmosphere comes from, but plenty of other sequences later on tap into that feeling and sent shivers up my spine for practically the entire runtime. And Pearl was written so that the audience could understand where she was coming from, how the crushing loneliness and staticness she was feeling was the thing that was driving her. But really, it was just the madness behind her that completely mesmerized me, as well as the filmmaking that assisted that whole idea. But what really sold Pearl for me was the Shakespeare-esque monologue where she spills her innermost thoughts. And it's an unbroken shot for I don't know how long. I was just so engrossed in the performance, it felt as though time had ceased. But those are my thoughts on Pearl, and I'm sure by the time I've edited this video, I will have watched Maxine, so look forward to a review on that soon. But until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.